Assalamu alaikum, everyone. How's everyone doing today? I hope you guys are doing amazing, inshallah. Happy International Women's Day, March 8th, 2026. So, obviously, if you didn't know, then let me tell you today is International Women's Day as prescribed by the United Nations. I personally believe that every single day should be Women's Day, but chalo, we can take this one from the United Nations. International Women's Day is a time to celebrate the strength, resilience, and leadership of women who shape our communities and inspire future generations. It is a day that honors not only the progress women have made, but also the courage it takes to rise above adversity and create meaningful change. Today, we have such a guest that embodies every single thing I just spoke of. Former councilwoman and candidate for Senate, Taiba Sultana represents that very exact spirit. Her journey is one of perseverance, determination, and unwavering commitment to her community. Despite facing immense personal hardships, she refused to let circumstances define her path. Instead, she transformed her struggles into strength and emerged as a powerful voice for those who needed representation and hope. Today, we recognize leaders like Taiba Sultana, whose stories remind us that true leadership is not born from privilege, but from resilience, purpose, and the courage to stand for others. With that said, let's welcome her to the stage. Assalamu
Hey,
alaikum, Taiba. How are you?
good, Danish. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. Appreciate that. Appreciate your kind words. And yes, it's a International Women's Day, and women should be celebrated every single day. Either it doesn't matter you are a mother or daughter, you're a wife, your aunt. Women are working hard every day to run this economy, to run our families, to run our communities. So yeah, they should be celebrated every single day. So appreciate your, invitation and your kind words.
Of course. In fact, it is my pleasure to be hosting you on such a day. Before we begin, I want to take this moment to just offer my condolences. I heard, Taiba, that you recently lost your mother. And honestly, the loss of a mother is one that one can never, or father for that matter, that one can never ever compensate with any other person in their life, especially because mothers truly make, especially their daughters, who they tend to be. Would you like to say a few words about how your mother shaped who you are today?
My mother, she she was such an powerful woman, and her loss is a huge loss for our community, a huge loss for our family, and I really cannot express the grief, I really cannot express anything about her. But she was a wonderful woman. She raised us as a single mother. My father passed away when I was only 6 years old. She learned how to go to school. She learned how to be a beautician because this is something she wanted to do. She sew clothes. Um, she done a lot of wonderful work to make sure like we are raised properly and we go to school and we have enough food at the table. So yeah, I usually every single International Women's Day, I always put my mom's picture on social media and to tell the world that she is the reason that I'm here today because she is the force behind the things that I'm doing now. She survived cancer like two times before, and of course, cancer came back like this third time, and she couldn't just bear it. But yeah, she inspired so many people. She inspired so when she went to her first chemotherapy, and she was very powerful, and she was okay to remove her hair. And she asked me, you want to show somebody a picture of me so if anybody else is in this situation can actually see it's okay to go through this. And I posted her picture on social media, and hundreds of cancer survivors, they commented, they were like, oh my god, this is something we were looking for. So yeah, I mean, she was a brave woman. She was a strong woman. She is the reason I'm here today. Because otherwise, I don't think so.
Um, Truly, I must say to, not only overcome the loss of a spouse one is young, such as your mother was, and then to survive through it, and then, raise her children in such a way and make sure that they're not only safe and well fed, but also becoming themselves an inspiration for others to follow. I mean, truly, she must have been a very commendable woman. And speaking of commendable women, um, I before I ask this first question of you, I want to say I saw you last year at our Women to Women Forum Gala, and you came for a brief moment, and you were welcome to the stage to just share your story. And I was floored by just the fact that you were, I mean, the way you expressed not only your story, but the way you captured that audience, and your raw emotion with such strength. You showed it, to all that were there. And previous to you coming on stage, it was a ruckus. Like, everybody was talking over one another and whatnot. And the moment you began to speak, everybody quieted down and gathered kind of to listen. It was like, I think, almost 200 people in there, in that
Yeah,
in,
right.
in that venue. And so, with that said, I want you to tell the audience here, because once I heard your story, I was like, oh my God, if there is an empowered woman, an inspirational empowered woman, that is Taiba Sultana. Because
Thank you.
to have lived your life and not let it overcome, like, and not just let it overcome, but also rise above it. Wow. So you've often spoken about, like, just to give you, you've often spoken about being married young and raising children while building a public life. Um, and really the experience of displacement and instability. How do you think that experience influenced your sense of home, and belonging in Easton, but also the greater part of Pennsylvania and United States, but also how it really shaped your incentive to come into public office?
So, first of all, thank you so much, Benish. Yeah, that program was Women to Women Forum. That was wonderful. So I appreciate all the wonderful work that you have been doing. Um, when we go through a real life experience, when we live the experience, then it's very easier for us to be advocate for those issues. For instance, there are some people who have hardship of going back to school, right? And eventually they end up being advocate for greater education. For me, as you know, I went through a lot, housing challenging, right? I was displaced for quite a few months. I was homeless. Then I stayed in the shelter, and then I was moved to public housing for 3 years. So this entire process make me a great advocate for housing. So when I see in city of Easton like housing crisis, I decided to go to my city council members and talk about building more affordable housing. And then I couldn't get enough response or the proper response that I was looking for from our elected officials. So I decided to run. I was like, okay, we got to do something, because that was the moment when I realized we can make a lot of noise, we can protest, we can speak out, but if we are not part of the policy process, we can't do anything. So yes, I'm not saying like protest doesn't have like a power. I mean, yes, but we also have to have someone, at the table who can push the legislations to make sure the policies are passed. Because whatever is happening in the United States, it's all because of policy process. It doesn't matter if it's an international war, it's a local war, it's the housing, minimum wage, whatever you do, everything is based of decision making. What our politicians have been doing. So yeah, I ran for office. I unseated 30 plus years incumbent, made history for becoming the first woman of color, first Muslim, first South Asian to serve on the city council.
Amazing.
And I made a lot of differences. We built 3 affordable housings in the city of Easton. We passed rent control bill. We passed a workforce housing bill. So yeah, I mean, this is what shaped me. And and I was able to do the things that I thought should be done.
Excellent. So, I'm sorry, one moment. So the I always say that why just talk about a problem? Why not address it? The way to get anything done, frankly speaking, whether you're a councilwoman, whether you're say our founding president and Miss Nusra Sohail, whether it's little old me trying to do these lives. And I'm so sorry, guys, I'm a little bit rusty, so apologies for the trip ups that are happening. I haven't done this in over a year, and apologies for that as well, actually. But the way to get things done is just to roll up your sleeve and get it done. And you truly did that. You saw a problem and you addressed it. And not only did you address it, you put your public face in front of the world to address it. And needless to say, that not only takes bravery, but that also takes a line of vision. That you're going to not only talk about the problem, but you're going to come up with solutions that are not only going to be suitable to the people that you're familiar with, but even those that you're not familiar with, the people that you don't get to talk to, the people that don't come to the rallies and the protests, and the even sometimes to vote. Frankly, to get those people involved, I must say, it takes a lot. And I think one of the biggest reasons that you were able to unseat the incumbent that was there for 30 years is because you were so passionate, and you brought forth a
New
doer
new
mentality.
vision, new vision.
Yeah, exactly. New
When I was
vision.
running, people were like, "Oh yeah, we need to change. We need to change." And Easton is, by the way, Easton is like a 70% white district. And we have like very few South Asian, very few Muslim community, but it's 70% white. Yeah, they elected me. Why not? They're giving me a chance, and I'm grateful for that. So and the reason I was able to done that, Binish, because I lived their life. I see the hardship of being housed. Rents were high. Now actually the rents are more higher. So things are getting worse.
Yeah. So
And that's exactly why I'm running for Senate now, because I feel like I've done the things that needs to be done, that needs to be done on the city level. Now I'm gonna take my work to higher level to address the entire Pennsylvanians.
amazing. So you talked about, because you had experienced the kind of disconnect that was happening with people that were displaced and housing that was available. Do you want to shed a little bit more light on that, if without becoming too descriptive? Would you like to share for the audience what you had gone through, and that what kind of problems you foresaw when you were seeking housing and stability in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. When I escaped from a abusive relationship, I didn't know where to go. Honestly, I did not know where to go. I just wanted to escape. I took my three children, I picked them up, I left the house, and I didn't know where to go. I was sitting at a road, just waiting a miracle to happen. And miracle didn't happen. And one of my friend helped me get my kids out to Pakistan. And then I was like, you know what? I know my kids are not there. I'm going to work hard, make sure I take care of everybody. But it did not work out that way, because housing was such a, America is in housing crisis, by the way. And then trying to get to the shelter, just to the shelter, was difficult too, because I had to face the discrimination. The system, as far as the system is working for everybody, but no, the system is not working everybody. System is working for the privileged. No matter you are homeless, no matter you are rich, you are poor, you are middle class, rich works. System works for the privilege. So whenever I would get close to get into shelter, I was always, put behind and given another person a chance. And I didn't know back then that I was discriminated.
Hmm.
I was like, what is going on? Maybe I'm missing something of my documents or something. I had like a broken English. I didn't know what to do, who to ask for. So this is how I learned what discrimination is. Before that, I didn't know about it. This is how I learned what Islamophobia is. Because when when you are sometime in those situations, in those conditions, you always want to talk to Allah, you always want to pray, right? So I remember wearing hijab and praying most of the time to ask Allah to get me out of this situation. And so people in that community would know that I'm Muslim, so I didn't know I was being target of Islamophobia. um, so that was one thing. And then when I got into public housing, then I had to pay like 30% of the 30% of the income. I didn't have income. That was another challenge. Then I started working where I would earn only $7, not even $7. I think it was $6.25 per hour. I couldn't pay the rent. I couldn't pay the 30%, and that was another challenge. Um, and then when I then they put me on the voucher program, which was like for 2 years voucher program. This is when I started working really hard, like 3 jobs. I was like, I'm gonna get out of this situation. I cannot do this anymore. I saved a lot of money. I saved. I would like eat like once a day, and I wouldn't spend my money anywhere else. And yeah, in 2 years, I was able to buy my own house. I was able to buy my car. I brought my kids back. So these are the situations that I've been, and I feel like there are so many people that go through those situations every single day, and we don't even realize. And once I actually got stable, I decided to went back to the same shelter, and I told them I'm gonna volunteer for them. So I started volunteering for them for a little bit, and I was it was just insane to see how many Muslim women, how many South Asian women, especially who are refused to speak up to the public or to their family members. They were there and they didn't know what to do. So I was not the only one. I just didn't know back then there were like so many women like me. But later I found out, and that's exactly why I decided to work on, I stopped volunteering and I started to work on policy making skills.
Excellent. So I think this is one of the reasons, and this is one of the purposes of our organization, Women to Win Forum. We have this mentality in our culture, like the idea of so-called safat posh, like where
Hmm.
we don't talk about our financial problems with people that we even know actually. And when somebody gets or when is somebody exposed of being in a dire situation such as you were, is when it's completely, almost irrevocably, you're not able to come back. Like it's such an extreme situation that they've lost their house, they've lost their kids, whatever. Until that happens, their neighbors, their friends, they don't even know that they're going through this, because it's almost taboo to talk about it. And yes, many women that are Pakistani, Muslim, Indian, South Asian women, even like other South Asian women, not just Muslim women, deal with discrimination, because it is about, frankly speaking, the person that's at that unfortunately the desk that's taking in your application, and it's really disparaging that the people that are supposed to be helping you out are actually forcing you to be even in only can I not turn to them for help, am
Right.
I at I might be at threat for more instability, depending on the situation. So kudos to you to be able to overcome so much with as you mentioned, your domestic abuse relationship, and then losing your, well, not losing, but then being separated from your kids for a little bit, and then being able to come back, and then you know not only become stabilized, but then realize that there's a gap, and then go try attempt to fill that gap in, so that nobody else ever has to go through what you go through. Like that takes another type of individual, frankly speaking. And I I want to ask you, you touched briefly upon, being Muslim and whatnot. So do you sometimes feel like a little bit off this, but do you sometimes feel pressure to choose between your Muslim or Pakistani identity and your role in political participation? Because if there's racism, right? So like, is there racism in there too?
Well, oh, absolutely. Politics is dirty. Politics is dirty. Racism is everywhere. In politics, yes, you probably face more because now you are a public figure, right? Now you are in the public now. People know you. There are a lot of haters. Yeah, people love you as well. There are some people who love you. I mean, this is exactly how I was elected. Because but I think I'm gonna connect this to your previous statement, how South Asian women are raised, and why they are not able to get onto their feet when they get into the situation. So basically, when we get married, like South Asian women, or when we are being raised with that mentality that her husband gonna take care of her, right? For instance, just like our father or brothers take care of her before marriage. Our parents, they find a person, a man, thinking that should have a stable housing, a stable everything, because that person is going to take care of our daughter. Then that daughter becomes a burden to that person. So when they get married, they don't get married as like soulmates. They got married like as a, for like a responsibilities. A man thinks his responsibility is to feed um, his wife, and wife thinks her responsibility is to cook for her husband. So it becomes less a soulmate or like or a friendship or any kind of like romantic relationship. It becomes like liability or a responsibility. And that's why, and then with that mentality, when women even want to escape, they feel like they cannot, because they always think, oh, who's going to take care of us, who's going to marry me, who's going to take care of my children. It's a mentality. I think this is something needs to be changed. This is something needs to be we call it like glass ceiling, right? Let's say that. Okay. We have to break this glass ceiling. We have to teach our daughters, you are not getting married to cook for your man. I mean, cooking for man is totally fine, but you should be cooking with passion, with love, with romance, not like as a responsibility, because this is where all the clashes happen. And when men take care of you, he should be taking care of you as a love of his life, not as a responsibility. So this is where everything starts. So when we raise our daughters the way we want them to be in future, everything changes. And we have to start thinking, I mean, we should have started thinking about this like a while ago. But and then it comes to religion. There are a lot of like male dominated society that uses religious to dominate women, even though our religious Islam is very easy. Our Hazrat Khatija was, it was 1400 years ago, but Hazrat Khatija was one of the richest women, one of a great businesswoman. Hazrat Zainab led battles. So women have played a really awesome role in religious in our societies. But for somehow some of the mullahs and some of the male dominated people, they are using different things, misusing different men to dominate women. But I think it's time to change now. It's time to change now, and it's changing. It's changing. Like our daughters are not ready to take another BS. Honestly, I mean they're changing, and I'm happy. And I'm happy. We need more change.
Yeah, certainly.
I don't know if I answered your question, but
No,
I
no,
really.
you did definitely. Uh, you talked about a lot of things actually, which is good. And FYI, you actually gave previews to a few lives that we're trying to set up very very soon. So yeah, there's this trending sound right now, this trending clip from a Pakistani drama called Kafil, and it's talks about औरत का कोई घर नहीं होता, ठीक है?
Mm.
So that's exactly it. Like jab औरत, when a woman is born, when a girl is born, like I remember my mother once said to me that when I was born, my grandmother said to my mother, "Ab tum nani ban gayi."
Right, right,
Literally the day
exactly.
I was born. And she said, because ladkiyon ki zindagi or of a daughter's life with her parents is that considered that brief. And the fact that we still think of this in 2026, that, a girl is temporarily in the home. Many people still think this, and
Right,
many people prepare their daughters for that second home that also is not hers, because,
exactly.
she goes into a house and she has to not only adjust herself to the new person, oftentimes arranged, because South Asian culture, we have mostly still arranged marriages. It's changing, but very, very slowly. And then not only to adjust to his nuances, but she has to adjust to the nuances of his family often. And obviously, brother and sister, अगर बहन भाई एक घर में हो तो उनकी लड़ाई हो जाती है, तो obviously अगर नए लोग हैं तो डिसएग्रीमेंट्स होंगी, मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग्स होंगी, मगर एक लड़की को ही कहा जाता है तुम एडजस्ट करो, तुम कॉम्प्रोमाइज करो,
Right,
तुम अंडरस्टैंड करो. And why? And there's always this looming threat on top of her head of ये घर से मैं बेघर हो सकती हूँ.
right,
And
exactly.
recently I actually said to there was an incident, and I was speaking to somebody who was given this threat of being displaced, and I was called in kind of as a mediator, and so giving you guys a little bit of too much information, but nonetheless, I need to, so I can tell you what I said. And I said, जब आदमी एक औरत को ये धमकी देते हैं ना कि मैं तुम्हें घर से निकाल दूंगा, और या मैं तुम्हें छोड़ दूंगा, या तुम्हें मैं तलाक दे दूंगा. um, it's 2026, ये अब कोई थ्रेट नहीं है. एंड इफ
Exactly.
एनीथिंग, अगर ऐसा इंसान, अगर ऐसा आपका खुदा ना खासा आपका काउंटर पार्ट आपको इस तरह की बात बोल रहा है, लेडीज, वो आपको फ्रीडम दे रहा है.
Exactly.
Frankly speaking, like अगर कोई
Exactly.
आपको इस तरह के लफ्जों से आपको like so called behaved रखना चाहता है,
Exactly.
person doesn't
Exactly.
deserve your
This is
time or
what,
your attention or your presence, frankly speaking. And the fact is that, there are men, even in this generation, who still think that that means that the problem is previous to that, where we are not teaching our daughters, or we're not making sure that our daughters know that हमारा घर, मेरा घर, मेरी माँ, parents का घर हमेशा उसके लिए दरवाजे खुले हैं. And we like to call Shizori house one of our, the thing that we've opened up as Ammi ka ghar. Isi wajah se we like to call it that, because एक stable or secure जगह होनी चाहिए for those that are displaced, जहाँ पे उनको लगे कि now I'm home.
hmm,
That feeling of home,
absolutely.
that
Absolutely.
that comes with not only being welcome but also being accepted,
Yeah, I
and with
agree.
no looming threat that you're going to be ousted any moment for misbehaving. So
Exactly.
yeah, I mean,
And
we talked about
honestly,
a lot
this
of.
is not just in South Asian communities. I've been with American community for a long time. Like being in politics, I see people go through the same life every day. Every woman of color, I would say, that I have uh, interaction with, have gone through like something similar. Not probably not exactly, but something, definitely something similar. Either they are black women or Spanish or brown or purple, whatever. They have gone through the similar situation, similar financial situation, similar abuse, similar and that abuse could not probably even their husbands, but also boyfriends, their fathers, their brothers. So yeah, this is very common, that needs to be addressed now more than ever. And we have seen the discrimination, but the biggest discrimination in America is like they refuse to elect a woman of color. um I don't know what else to say at that point.
Inshallah, we'll get there, and we are getting there slowly but surely. I think, like, I mean, when Barack Hussein Obama got
Right.
elected to presidency, I was like, okay, if this a person with that name can get elected, then maybe somebody named Beanish can get elected.
Right,
I
exactly.
mean, not that I'm interested, but what you catch my drift.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
then, obviously, if we were talking about views and kind of being out of the box, with Mayor Mamdani, like I cannot tell you, like when he came with his kind of message, I kept thinking, oh, how is this going to work? Is he going to get the votes? How is this really going? How is he going to be accepted? But here he is, mayor of one of the most powerful cities in the United States of America, and he, did it really a grassroots type of election. And the people truly voted him into office. So I think people such as yourself and people, and then women of coming back to women of color, Ilhan Omar, you know. There are other examples that are, that stand out. I've heard talks that, there's other people that are trying to run, but eventually I think we will get there, slowly but surely, hopefully, inshallah ta'ala.
Inshallah.
um but definitely I think being involved is the first step, I think. Like,
Absolutely.
especially as women of color, and not, again, as you said, not just Pakistani women or Indian women or Desi women. I think like women of color in general are kind of grow up with this kind of thought that I cannot do this, or maybe
Right.
I'm not up to that level. So were you this is a little bit off topic, but because you've already answered a lot of my questions, so I'm going to just kind of ask you extreme, kind of off topic right now, and ask, were you ever or did a thought like this, like, no, I can't do this, ever cross your mind while you were either, going through your struggles, or deciding to run for office, or standing up in a rally and speaking your mind, like, and when that thought came into your mind, no, I can't do this, how did you overcome it? And there's a second part to this question that I want to get to, but before, I want to, did that ever come into your mind, and how did you get over it?
Screaming by screaming, because we all we all have like kind of like breakdowns, right? Like mental breakdown, emotional breakdowns, and I also, I'm a human being. Things happen to me as well. But I always stand up and I start again. I'm like, I'm not going to give up, and it happened so many times in my life, and it not just once. Because when I spoke for Palestine like 2 years ago, I received death threats. My children received death threats, and I was afraid of my children. I was like, no, this shouldn't be happening to my kids. Why they are being targeted? So I really thought, and then I started thinking, should I quit? Because this is exactly what they want me to do. They want me to quit. And if they can do that to me, like being as a public figure, now imagine what they have been doing to the people who have no voice or who have no control or no power. That those things keeps me running. Because when I see people with no voice or going through the same thing but cannot say a word because of the threats or because of not having enough courage or not getting enough opportunity to speak out, that just makes me keep going. I'm like, I just want to be, because politics is the thing, when you get in, there is no way out. It's dirty. And my mom said politics is a gutter. So when you step into the gutter, you make sure your hands are dirty, your clothes are dirty. You cannot stay safe and clean up the gutter. You get dirty. So this is how I see politics. Yeah, sometimes I feel like I don't know how many scandals I have, but that's fine. It's part of my
Hey, controversy makes us, worth watching, frankly speaking.
exactly. So yeah, I mean, everything that happens to me just makes me more stronger and more committed to my community. I'm not a quitter. I didn't quit before, and I'm not planning to quit now. And I want to make sure the girls that are watching me in my community see me as a role model. Not like as a person, but as a resilience, and see that, like, okay, is this woman gone through, because everything is temporary. Yes, we go through all the challenges, but when we pass that time, it's nothing. It's really nothing. We feel like, okay, it was quick. Like, for instance, when I was going through the housing crisis, it was a hell of time, but when I passed, I was like, oh, I did it. It wasn't bad. Like, it was bad, but yeah, I did it. So yeah, that's what keeps me going.
That's amazing. So I the fact that you mentioned that, that's literally I think every person that out there that is similar to you, like inspiring and works for public office, and it is trying to change their communities from within. I think all of them kind of have this again, like perspective that when I know that there's people looking at me in such a way, that I'm an inspiration to them, that keeps me going, that motivates me even further. Exactly. The fact that something little that you, and it's interesting as women and as people that are in public persona, we don't realize the little nuanced things that we do, that people are observing very with much concentration. And not only do they then try to emulate and take that on and kind of embody that same characteristic, but then also it keep motivates them through their struggle. So the
Yeah.
fact that when you were fallen down in your in your dire straits, and you didn't just stay down there, in that difficult situation, you got up, scrubbed off the dirt, and picked up a cape, no less.
Because
Frankly
this is
speaking.
what our society want us to do. They just want us to stay down, not do anything, and be dependent. This is exactly what our society want us to do. We don't need to follow our society. What is society? We build societies. Our
Exactly. You set the
culture,
trend. Exactly.
exactly, it's a culture that we build as a human being, as a one race, as one ethnicity. We build those cultures. So, and we can easily change those cultures. Like, for instance, with all the immigration crisis going on, have you seen the youth is actually like how they've been marching from high schools, how they've been standing up with their friends, because the culture is changing then. And who's changing those cultures? We are the one changing the cultures. We build those cultures and we can change it, because culture evolves, right? Time evolves, everything evolves with time. We cannot live in 1979 while we are living in 2026. We have to evolve with time. We will have to evolve with culture. We have to evolve with the digital media. We have to evolve um, with this robotic world.
With this AI world,
Yeah,
exactly.
well, exactly, exactly.
101%. So I think, yeah, like being, I think staying in one place, and especially if that place is substandard, makes us, frankly speaking, stale. And what do we do with things that are stale? We throw them out. So one way to stay fresh and new and ever evolving is to not only adapt your thought to as time progresses, and of course good thoughts, but also, as you have done, see the problem and address it with a solution that works for not just you but everybody else. You talked about you keep mentioning the housing crisis. I want you to delve a little bit deeper into that, and the immigration problem as well, because I know you're very, very, very outspoken about that. And I want to give you this platform, especially because, we're at the end tail 20 minutes of our hour long session. So I really wanted to give you this opportunity, as inspirational as your stories, and we'll definitely come back to it, audience. I know her story is quite like just engaging, but I want to talk about a little bit of what you have done in the past as well, in terms of addressing the housing crisis in Easton and beyond, and the immigration problems as well.
So for immigration, I'm sorry, for housing, while I was on the city council, we passed, we were able to build 3 affordable housings in the city of Easton. And that's like income based. And also, we also passed a bill to address the workforce housing, which means every developer that is going to build a high-end apartment building in the city of Houston should have to dedicate 30% of the building for affordable housing, for workforce housing. We have done that. And I served as a vice chair of the Home Easton. Home Easton is a newly formed organization to address the lack of housing in the city of Houston, and it also provide tenant landlord tenant programs to educate them how to work together and not evict their tenants if something happens. This is something we have worked on. And for immigration, yes, immigration has been like since Trump was elected, like it's been a insane issue. And we have a broken immigration system in the states. So when I was on the city council, I introduced a resolution to ask our city, or let's say our police officers, our police departments or fire departments or any city employees, not to collaborate with ICE. So that resolution was passed unanimously, and I'm just grateful for my colleagues to stand up with that issue. So yeah, I mean, we cannot do much for immigrants because it's a federal issue, but of course we can do so many other things. For instance, if I get elected on as a state senator, there are so many things we can do. We can pass so many bills where we can contain ICE not to go to the communities or not to go to the courthouses, because our Senate, Pennsylvania Senate, recently in 2025 passed a bill that require the prosecutors to notify the ICE if they run into any undocumented person present at the courthouse, even though they're just there to pay their fines. So, and this is one of the reason I'm running for Senate, because when I'm elected, I want to make sure these kind of things doesn't happen in my district, at least because my district is like it's a home for immigrants. And then not just Pakistani, I mean, from all over the world. Eastern is like basically full of Lebanese community, Lebanese Christian, not just Muslims, but the entire valley is a home of immigrants. So I want to make sure they are represented the way that they deserve to be represented.
Excellent. You've already done so much as a councilwoman, and then addressing the housing crisis, and also I commend you for your efforts. Trying to address the immigration problem, especially because I know that just watching the different politicians that are trying to address the problem, they get not only a lot of headway, they get a lot of attacks, actually attacks on their personal life, their backgrounds, et cetera, et cetera. There are several examples which I'm not going to talk about in this live, but to do that as somebody such as yourself, who's self-made, who has a story that she actually tells everybody. And frankly speaking, sometimes when you reveal the truth too much, people try to dig deeper and try to find where they can, try to find holes and where they can exploit you further. And to still stand up nonetheless, and and be a voice of the people, isn't it?
Yeah, because we
Say
can
how amazing you are, Taiba, honestly speaking.
Thank
But
you so much. Yeah.
I hope that more people can take a page from your story, not only in overcoming their personal problems, but also rising above the occasion and helping other people in their strife as well. Um, do you think that as an immigrant to this country, you have a better perspective of what the immigration problem, what the immigrants are going through as well? What do you think?
Absolutely, because even my immigration process took a long time. It wasn't like blink of an eye. Like it took a long time, and I know how not just Pakistani immigrants, but immigrants across the world actually gone through the same kind of process. Our color is just seen more because of our color. Otherwise everybody go through the same thing, because the American immigration system is broken. Even though if we talk about DACA program was turned by Trump administration, and DACA program was not even very successful. I mean, yeah, it was safe. At least students could go to school and complete their education and do the right things that they wants to do. But at the same time, that system is broken completely. Yes, there is a path to citizenship, but path to citizenship is not easy. It costs money, and if people are coming from other countries, let's say as a refugee to seek asylum, or as a sponsors, when they come to this country, they don't bring a lot of money, right? They are really come to survive here. And if they have a lot of money, then why would they be here in this country, right? So when they come in this country to survive, and now it costs, let's say, if I remember correctly, it takes, I think it start with $600 something, if I'm not wrong,
Wow.
to start the process. Like, who can afford that? Yes, there is a path to citizenship, but is that path to citizenship easy? No, because it's financially disturbing. It's financially, struggling. Like, the people who work $7.25 minimum wage per hour cannot pay for that. Or especially people who come from different countries, since they don't have a documents, they sometimes they have to work under the table and they don't make much. So calling those hardworking people criminals because they cannot follow the path to citizenship because they don't have enough finances is just, it's brutal.
Exactly. And actually, if one thinks about it in the aspect of, you know, as you said, that they're working under, they're not even protected under, minimum wage is $10 and they're getting paid like $7, right? So actually, I think it's more than $10 now. That's what I'm saying. Like the fact that they're not protected under just like that kind of law, that they have to work under the table, and they're it's still being and they're often working hours beyond the legal amount of hours because whatever works, right? And frankly speaking, I don't think there's one person out there, one immigrant out there that doesn't want to be a citizen of the United States or doesn't want to follow the path to citizenship or legal status if it wasn't so difficult. But the fact of the matter is that it not only difficult, but it's also financially straining,
Mhm.
and it's a vicious cycle that they kind of go through. Many people talk about how how they feel that immigrants, I'm going to say the unpopular opinion, that they take the jobs, their jobs. It's a very popular kind of excuse from
Right.
that side, that the immigrants, they're taking our jobs. What do you think of that thought? Just because,
It's
since
a
we're
it,
talking about this.
it's a propaganda. It's a political propaganda, because yeah, immigrants are taking their jobs, but these are the jobs that nobody wants to work. The like Yes, I mean, I'm not going to undermine our immigrant communities. I mean, we do have doctors, right? These are the jobs probably taken. Maybe they can go to school and become a doctor. They can be engineers, because our community, like where I live in Lehigh Valley, our St. Luke's Hospital has like a lot of Muslim doctors, and they all are from all across the world, like from Syria, from Egypt, from Pakistan, from India. They are all over the world. I mean, yeah, I mean, they are taking their jobs by becoming doctors. But at the same time, yes, there are immigrants who have to work hard in order to achieve those goals, and those are the jobs that so-called American don't want to take. And who is an immigrant in this country? Who isn't? Everybody is immigrant. The only people who are not immigrants are the Native Americans. Otherwise, everybody's immigrant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you said, a lot of the so-called jobs that the immigrants are taking are the jobs that, frankly speaking, many others would not. Unfortunately, they're doing the jobs, honestly speaking, that are the most difficult, the most physically straining, and not a lot of people, and not a lot of folk can handle those kinds of jobs, and a lot of them are taking, well, not taking.
Mm.
And frankly speaking, if that's the case, then why aren't they being occupied now that there's less immigrants in the country? Like, why are why are we lacking in certain people in those positions? I'm totally digressing, but
Yeah.
um
And then there is similar agenda, propaganda. At one side, they says immigrants are taking our jobs, and on the other side, they says, oh, they don't work and they are on food stamps. They are taking our tax dollar money. I mean, either they are taking your jobs, or they are not working and taking your tax dollars. Like, you have to pick one. They cannot do the both, because if they are undocumented, anybody undocumented in this country cannot get childcare, cannot get food stamp, cannot get unemployment, cannot, but they have to pay the taxes, and they are not getting any benefits. So
exactly.
it's a propaganda. Either they are working, or either they are not working and it's taking your tax dollars. It's But whatever works for them.
Exactly. It's just it's propaganda. It's excuses. It's just trying to keep the people that are underprivileged still in that situation. And frankly speaking, this application of keeping the people that are underprivileged doesn't just apply to immigrants. It also
Hmm,
applies to people of color. One
absolutely.
need not go any further than just looking at how schools are districted and the kind of fundings that's available. But that's a topic definitely for another day. um, but yeah, so thank you, Taiba, for not
Thank you.
only being the voice of the people, but also being their hero in so many ways, and not bending down to your circumstance, and not letting hardships overtake the amazing, beautiful soul you are.
Thank you.
Obviously,
Thank you.
um, and if you could give an advice to anyone out there who's um, struggling in their life in any which way of going off on their own and escaping a domestic abuse marriage or relationship, or an advice, I'm gonna have you give three advices, like somebody who's going through that, what an advice you would give to her. Let's first that.
And I think, and Benish, you have said that before. I mean, run. Run from that situation, because that's the first thing. When you stay in abusive relation, you really cannot do anything. Like, I went to school after getting away from that situation. I got my degree in political science. I got my higher degree in pre-law, and I've done all this without that man. And now I feel like if I would be with him, I wouldn't be able to do all this. And sometimes you just have to run from that situation, and just do the things that you can do. The world is bigger than you think. And sometimes our parents, or today's youth, they really think getting education is enough. Getting education make them independent, which is not. There are so many educated women who go through the same thing. Being independent mean realizing, or awareness of yourself, like who you are and what's the purpose of your existence in this world. This is when you need to realize. And when we realize who we are and what we need to do, we can do anything, because everybody has a purpose in this world. Everybody has a purpose. Nobody came without a purpose. You just have to follow and find the purpose inside of you, and then start working on it. And you don't have to be rich to do anything. I mean, and that's why there are so many people who volunteer for different organizations to make sure the organization are running, they are doing the things that benefits our communities. So yeah, I mean, you really don't have to have a bank balance in order to do. Yes, you do, but at the same time, you really don't. You have to have willpower to do the right things. And that's what I would advise. Don't just fall um, for that society anymore, because that society doesn't exist now. Living in that society where women are dominated, it's gone. It's gone now. Living in that same time is like living in a hell. We all can do better, and we all can lift each other up. It's just not, I mean, we don't have to do it alone. I mean, there are so many other women that are ready to lift it, like Shazori House, like Nusrat and yourself. And seriously, like, and I've seen like so many wonderful women around me that, like, even though I'm running, right? And I was at the masjid last night for iftar, and I had to collect like signatures in order to put my name on the ballot. My friends were like running around getting signatures for me, and everybody, like, I was literally in a women's section, and every single woman, they said, "Oh, we want to see you on the ballot. We want to vote for you." And they did sign my petition without even convincing them what to do, because they know that when she's elected, she's gonna represent all of us.
They see you as a doer. They see you as a doer. They see that you have the guts to do what is necessary. I think that's the essentially why they're all like, we want to vote for her, because you're not just sitting there on the sidelines. You're actually taking action. Even when I saw that you're speaking at the rally for immigrants. This was like, I think in December or November, I want to say.
Mhm.
And like you're not taking a step back, even though now you are not a councilwoman, but you are not taking a step back. You're heading to the next stage. You're heading to the stage, the Senate stage. So many people be like, if they were like, okay, not no longer in that office, they be like, okay, maybe now it's I'm just going to take a backseat. Maybe I'll just be a support. You're like, no, let me on to that next stage. So if people see that and they're encouraged by you and they want to vote for you and they want to get back behind that, frankly speaking, right?
Thank you so
Um,
much. Yeah, but it's not just the politics. There are so many other things. There are so many other things that women have been achieving. Like for instance, I got to know a woman who came from I think Sri Lanka, and she told me that her husband is back home and she works here and send money over there. And I was like, why are you doing that? Like she said, oh, because there is no job in that country. I'm like, is there a job for you in this country? You are working hard. And then she realized, yeah. And as soon as she stopped sending money to her husband, he divorced her. So I mean, this is the society we live in. So I think, and now she's like, and I told her, you gotta go back to ESL classes, you gotta take ESL classes and then go back to school. And she recently started working at Dunkin' Donuts. She's making money. She's like working hard and making sure she's independent. And this is a very small thing, but we can literally lift each other up with small steps. And I know this is a small step she took, but I know she can go far with that step. The first step is the difficult one because you don't know you will fall or you will rise. So first step is difficult one. When anybody can take first step, then they can keep going. And I think this is how we can empower each other by lifting each other up, by pushing each other. You can do it by applauding each other, because what you are, I cannot be that person. What I am, you cannot be that person. So where's the issue then? Right? So I think I should support who you are and you should support who I am, because this is how we're gonna rise.
I think essentially that is one of the biggest deep rooted issues that women are still struggling to make an impact in society, especially South Asian society to this day. Unfortunately, I feel like our biggest critics are other women, and our biggest discouragers are other women. Like especially in like such a situation like domestic abuse, if someone has children, they're like people will be like, "बच्चे हो गए हैं, सोच लो
Yeah.
ना,
Yes.
एडजस्ट कर सकती हो, बात करके हम देखते हैं, उसका खुदा का खौफ करो." No
Exactly.
one will ever say like especially if they already have kids, like very not no one, but very few people will say, how dare he hit you, leave him,
Exactly.
like
Exactly.
it's something that people are scared to say. I think because हमें थोड़ा डराया भी जाता है कि ये this type of situation is not necessarily liked by Allah, but then at the same time zulm is not liked by
Yeah,
Allah
yeah,
as well.
exactly.
So it's like very discouraging and disparaging that especially in our society women don't stand up for one another. अगर कोई किसी औरत की तलाक होती है, हमेशा फॉल्ट औरत
Right.
के ऊपर जाता है, कभी नहीं ये सोचा जाता कि पीछे क्या हो रहा था. My mom says रैपिया जाने थे वैपिया. I'm sorry, my Punjabi is not
Yeah,
that
yeah.
great, but it's
वापिया
basically
जाने थे वापिया जाने.
हाँ, yes, ये वाला. तो like अगर जो रह रहा है उस घर में, the person that's living in that circumstance is the only decider and the only person that can say whether or not they can continue to live in that situation.
Right.
And there are forms of abuse that are other than physical abuse,
Oh,
actually.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. There is financial abuse. There is emotional abuse. There are so many different abuse. There is a like silence abuse. Like
yeah.
seriously. I mean, and this is the awareness that we have to give to our daughters. I tell my daughters all the time, like, this is not good. I mean, she's mashallah very independent, but I always tell her, this is not good, this is not good, this is not good. She's like, oh, I know, mama, I know, mama. So
So
yeah, this is because our schools doesn't teach this, honestly.
I
Our
think
schools, even our schools and our religious institutions, they all try to objectify women, no matter who you are, no matter where you live. And that definitely have to be worked on, like a lot,
I
and we
think
can start this from our own homes.
agreed. I think the first step to raising the next generation to not go through the struggles of the past generations is
Absolutely.
first and foremost love, not only your daughters but also your sons enough to understand what
Exactly.
real love is. It's not control, it's actual unconditional love and acceptance, frankly speaking, or whatever it may be, but it's definitely not control. And
Absolutely.
and then also giving that confidence to your children, again, whether they're a male or female, but giving that confidence to your children to know that their self-worth, frankly speaking. I think a lot of our girls and our ladies, and especially of the past generation, they were just kind of told to compromise and demeaning their self-worth, degrading their self-worth, thinking that they have to put up with it because that's what is dealt to them, and maybe that was kismet, or maybe तुम्हारा यही नसीब था, तुम्हारी
Yes,
यही
yes,
काबिलियत थी,
exactly.
Allah maaf करे, like that. Literally, they
Right.
make them think that they deserved
They
whatever
deserve the yes.
horrible situation they're in, and not ever encouraging them to rise above it. And I understand their perspective on that as well, but at the same time, if somebody is suffering into the certain degree that many of these women are, like, surely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided a way, and Allah ta'ala says that you should not live through Zoom. So that we should come back to that always. Now I just want to round up and say thank you so much, Taiba, for
Appreciate
joining
it.
us. I know we talked about a lot of things. I feel like we need a Taiba series, women to women, because there's so much knowledge that you can give us, and especially our audience out there. 'Cause
Thank you.
many of them, like you, are first generation, and they're here, and as immigrants, and learning to not only the landscape but also the culture. And I feel like many of them, because of that reason, relate to you, frankly speaking. You're filling in the gaps, like you have the background of Pakistan and South Asian society, but at the same time you're encouraging them to adapt to the not only the freedoms but also the rights, frankly speaking, that they were given by Islam, but are protected in
Exactly.
the United States and in
Exactly.
Pakistan. Actually, from what I've heard, they're also progressing. So
Exactly.
thank you for joining, and
This is, I just want to say one thing. Our rights were not given to us. Our rights are our. This is how we need to change the language. They were not given by who?
yeah,
These
they
men?
always are. They
No.
were always
Hell
ours.
no. Hell
Yeah,
no.
yeah. Allah gave them to us.
Allah,
We were with them.
exactly. Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. And
So yeah.
Quran, actually, and again, you are literally touching base about a live that's coming up in a couple of weeks, guys. It's going to be about women in Islam, and the rights that are given to us by Allah subhanahu wa
Allah
ta'ala,
subhanahu wa
frankly
ta'ala,
speaking.
exactly.
We did it last year too, and we're going to do it again this year, inshallah. We're trying to plan it very, very
Awesome.
soon and get a scholar for you guys. But exactly, those rights were given to us. Islam was one of the first, in fact, the first religion that talked about women's rights and the guarantees that are protect them, frankly speaking, in any and every situation, whether it's marriage or outside of marriage. And we forget that because we adapted
Exactly.
to culture, society, whatever nuance that we kind of were given in this severely faulty dunya.
Yeah, no, seriously, because there are male out there who tells, "Oh, मैंने इसको बड़ा खुश रखा हुआ है, मैंने इसको इजाजत दी हुई है जॉब करने की." Like seriously, like इजाजत, why? Why does she
Why?
need the permission for at one first place? Um, and then job करने की, like there are like so many weird things that really
It's the,
male
it's the
dominated
language. It's the
things.
it's the it's
Exactly.
the yeah. It's the mindset
It's
that
a
needs to
mindset.
it's the mindset that
Exactly.
needs to change. So as we reflect on the meaning of Women's Day and story like yours, Taiba, you've reminded us that true strength is not defined by ease, but by the courage to rise despite hardship. Your journey has shown us that leadership is not simply about holding a title; it's about perseverance, service, and the willingness to uplift others when the path is difficult. I hope and pray that your story inspires each of us out here to recognize the power within ourselves and within the women around us. When women lead with resilience, compassion, and determination, we do more and we succeed individually and as a whole. We transform communities, we open doors for generations to come,
Absolutely.
today and every day. Let's celebrate the strength of these types of women and every woman out there for that matter. Thank you, Tayyiba.
Thank you so much. Happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Walaikum salam.
Yeah.